And guys, I just need you to really be honest with yourself when you say you've changed a story about you or you say you've changed a story about them. 99.9% of you haven't. And you know why we know you haven't? Because Sarah will tell you and the other mentors will tell you your questions in the Q&A forum are full of circumstances that are still occurring. So if they are still occurring, you're still thinking of those circumstances. And in those circumstances is the old story of you and of them. So don't bullshit us and say, I've changed, but he's still turning up the same. Bitch, you haven't changed shit. I just don't buy it. I call bullshit on your whole thing about you've worked on yourself. I just think it stinks. This reasoning you have stinks because you're saying, I don't know why he's turning up the way he's. I don't know why. We know why, because of you. Yay! So what do we want to chat about? You decide.
Alrighty. So I'm going to start with a little bit of housekeeping, just in case we have new people watching.
Yes.
We have some new members.
Good idea. Hi, guys. Hi, all the newbies.
Hi, everybody. So Mentor Monday is usually live with just the mentors, but today we have our lovely Loz with us. And we talk about common themes in last week's Q&A forum.
So, Sarah, take it away, my darling.
All right.
With the themes of the week.
So our first theme this week is reacting in the 3D to something that our SP's done or not done and setting boundaries because of it. Our favorite.
You guys trying to make me yell like first thing in the morning. I really don't feel like it. But why is anyone discussing setting boundaries in my group? Are these new people or are these old people?
Yeah, there's a mix. It's a mix.
Guys, that's some dating coach bullshit. Just so you understand. Let's pare back anything we've ever learned from dating coaches and understand all of that is crap. All of that is bullshit. All of that is putting the blame on the other person. When you get this, when the penny finally drops that they are your reflection like a mirror in your bathroom, you can't set a boundary with them because you caused what they're doing. You caused the thing you're so shitty about that you need to set a boundary about. Are you getting that, some of you? The people who are asking the question, they're not getting that part. So then the mentors will go in there, they'll say, you don't need to set a boundary, and you won't know why. You think, but I thought I needed to get respect. Like if you ever say they don't respect me or they're not doing what I want, you're not getting this. And that's why you feel the need to set the boundary. You understand? What common things have you seen they're setting boundaries about, Sarah?
Things where either their SP doesn't show up the way they want them to, or, you know, they're a little dry over text, or maybe they've canceled a date, and, you know, people are gonna want to set a boundary because so that they don't get treated that way. But the treatment's coming from you, they're reflecting you, and whatever boundary you set in the 3D is actually, like, even if it works for, like, a day or two, it's never going to last. They're not actually going to stay that way because they're just going to continue to reflect you, and you're still thinking those things like, he doesn't respect me and I need to set a boundary so that he knows not to respect me.
Guys, look, a lot of you waste so much time and energy telling them how you feel, setting boundaries, telling them off, or telling them what you want. Let me say it for the gazillionth time. You're causing them to be that way. So opening your fat mouth and literally expressing anything is fucking pointless. And what Sarah just said is true. It might change for a moment, but that's because you've forced the issue in the 3D, and they'll go straight back to reflecting you because you didn't change your thinking. So what you need to do is investigate the story you hold about them based on the story you have about yourself that's causing that behavior.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Like I have examples in my life at the moment where people show up a certain way and I can't get annoyed at them because I've got to think, what am I thinking about that person? That's it. Like there's no point having an argument or telling them off or what's the point? Because I am holding stories that's causing them to either disrespect me, not turn out the way I want, whatever these things are you guys are talking about. But in my case, it'll be, I don't say anything necessarily unless I've got triggered in a moment and say something and then regret it because I know it's coming from me. Do you know it's coming from you? Anybody asking a question about setting boundaries don't know it comes from them yet. That's it. Right?
Exactly.
So if you are triggered in the moment, or you feel the need to ask these questions about they've done this, they're doing this, I need to say this, do this, set a boundary, go backwards and think, am I getting what these teachings are all about? Am I truly understanding it? Am I like Sarah and the rest of the mentors who really get this, or am I a bit lost still? Right? Before you ask the question. Anyway, yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of leads us into topic number 2, which is we've had a few questions where people have been focusing on changing their self-concept, which is great, but they get a little confused when it comes to working on their SP with that and changing the story of their SP. If they have a shitty story of their SP, will their SP reflect their new self-concept, or will they reflect the shitty story that they still hold about them?
Guys, you can't still hold shitty stories about them. I'm really sorry. What do you want? Like,
Doesn't work like that.
you want to really change you, but hold shitty stories. So, guys, don't bullshit me. If you still hold shitty stories about them, you still hold shitty stories about you. I don't buy it. When you bitches say, I know my worth, I've worked on myself, have you? So why are they still acting like a dickhead? Ask yourself, like, oh, well, because I've got a story, he's a dickhead. I've got a story, he doesn't prioritize me. I've got a story, I don't get loved by him. Well, where's that story coming from? Shit, it must still be coming from me. I'm full of it. Don't tell me that you've... Guys, please. Look, I used to go to parties in England and girls would say to me, I know my worth. I don't know why guys keep showing up the way they are. And then I'd go, did this happen to you when you were a kid? And does this keep happening to you? And these bitches would be in tears at the end of a party because every single time I smelt the bullshit coming out of their mouth when they were telling me how they knew their worth and they fixed themselves and they worked on themselves. And those bitches had situations every fucking time where they weren't committed to. The guys were flaky as fuck. They cancelled dates. They stood them up. They treated them like crap. They cheated on them. They would never commit. And then they wondered why, even though they thought they'd changed themselves. Are you like those fucking clueless girls I used to make cry at parties? Probably.
Yeah, I remember when, like, I first kind of started following you and stuff, and I hadn't fully grasped it yet. I remember saying things to myself, like, I would work on my self-concept, and then something would happen, and I'd go, why does this keep happening to me? Why do people keep treating me this way? And then after I was like, Sarah, you dummy. Like, why do you think they're treating you like that? Like, obviously, you still think that way, right? Whether it be about them or, about yourself or kind of both, a mix of both, right? But
exactly. And the commonality of the things that keep happening, you've got to understand you're the common denominator.
Mm-hmm.
If it keeps happening, you're still the same old you were before, obviously. Right? So get back to what the question actually was. It was about them. Do they just focus on the self-concept or the shitty story of them as well?
So they were asking, working on their self-concept and changing the story about their SP at the same time.
Like, do they have to change the story of them?
Do they have to change the story, and kind of how to change the story when,
right.
With self-concept?
Okay. Guys, every time you see your specific person, talk to your specific person, whether it be a parent, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whoever, I want you to see them new every time. Like, if you can see them new every time you see them, like whatever that movie is where she goes on 69 first dates and he can't remember her. Like, honestly, like that. Like, you've had amnesia and you can't remember what they were like before and you just see them fresh. If you could do that, every single person's relationship would be perfect, right? Because you're not holding any crap from yesterday, the day before. My parents used to have arguments in our house every day. And every time I would hear them say, and that time you did this. And in 1982, when, and I think, are you fucking for real? You guys are having fights about shit that's so long ago and you're holding on to shit. Or they'd be annoyed about the towel not being hung up properly, but really it was about feeling disrespected. Really it was about feeling not prioritized. It wasn't about the fucking towel, right? But those stories about the towel came from stories about them, and the story they held about their husband, my mum held about her husband, say, for example, which was in turn from the stories she held about men, which came from the stories about her dad, which came from the stories her mum had, which came from the story of her as a kid. It had literally nothing to do with the fucking towel and absolutely nothing to do with my dad. And older I got, I realized the dumb arguments they would have had literally nothing to do with the thing they were arguing about even. Like literally nothing. We'd hear them and think, what are they arguing about now? Some dumb shit, right? And you guys think you've changed stories. You haven't. If they're still showing up the way they were before, you haven't fully changed the story about them. And that means you haven't fully changed the story about you. Because if my mum had changed the story about herself, she wouldn't hold shitty stories about men or about my dad or about towels. She just wouldn't
Right.
have. But she never bothered to ever change herself because she never dealt with any of her stuff. My mum used to say, it's in the back of my mind, I don't think about my childhood. I used to say, well, your childhood's affecting everything that you do every day. And she didn't get it. And she thought because she'd locked it away and didn't think about it, it wasn't turning up now. It turns up in everything. It infects your life. And if you haven't got rid of that shit, everything gets infected. Then you have fucking arguments about towels. It's about you guys. It's not about them. It's never, ever about them. And it's never about the fucking towel. Okay? Right.
Yeah, when you really, really listen, you'll realize that it is something about yourself that you're projecting onto this person. So you don't feel enough, you don't feel respected, you feel like you don't get prioritized, and then they don't answer a text, you know, in the time that you assumed they would, and now you're upset because you actually just feel disrespected or not important, and it really doesn't have anything to do with them. Because if you were distracted and you were doing your own thing and they weren't answering you, you probably wouldn't care.
And guys, I just need you to really be honest with yourself when you say you've changed the story about you or you say you've changed the story about them. 99.9% of you haven't. And you know why we know you haven't? Because Sarah will tell you and the other mentors will tell you your questions in the Q&A forum are full of circumstances that are still occurring. So if they are still occurring, you're still thinking of those circumstances. And in those circumstances is the old story of you and of them. So don't bullshit us and say, I've changed, but he's still turning up the same. Bitch, you haven't changed shit. I just don't buy it. I call bullshit on your whole thing about you've worked on yourself. I just think it stinks. This reasoning you have stinks because you're saying, I don't know why he's turning up the way he's. I don't know why. We know why, because of you. Don't say I don't know why. Like if you come in the Q&A and say, I don't know why he's like that. He's still doing this. Like we're smelling bullshit through the question. We know why. You're why. The end. Right? So in answer to your question, of course you need to change the story about them if you're still holding it. You know what I mean? Like think about that logically. If they're your reflection, you still hold the story. How are they going to change? Oh, but I thought you could just say change your self-concept. Yes, but are you still reflecting out a really shitty story about them at the same time as working on your self-concept? Oh, yeah, I am. Well, they're your direct reflection. So they're still directly reflecting that shit you hold. Right? Stop blaming them for the way they're showing up. Please stop saying they're doing this, they're doing that. He's still this, he's still that. No, you're still the same old bitch you were before. That's it. Right?
Which covers another topic we had, which was when you're affirming and scripting and visualizing and your SP is still not reflecting the new story that you've been working on, which again comes back to you're still thinking a lot of that old shit. You're thinking that more than you're thinking the new stuff.
Guys, look, somebody just asked if I buy the courses on the website, do they stay there forever or they like the squad, they leave every month? No, guys, if you buy my courses on the website, they're there forever. Now, I just want to explain something about my courses. Inside each of my courses that we put here in the squad are tasks, are techniques. We're just giving them to you as a way for you to change yourself. The techniques aren't the answer though, right? What did Sarah just say? I'm doing the affirmations. I'm doing the visualizations. I'm doing the things. I'm doing the techniques. But, no, but. They're just techniques, right? Okay? So you need to understand they're just ways for you to change. But you have to actively do the changing after you've stopped doing the thing you're doing. So you could affirm right now a thought. It's just a thought. I am loved, I'm wanted. I'm loved, I'm wanted. Whatever you're doing, right? You stop. That was an activity. The next time you do that again, what have you done in between? Right? So the next time you do a technique or you visualize, what happened between right now at 10:19 when I just did that affirmation to say, I don't know, 4 o'clock this afternoon when I lie down in an easy chair and have a visualization and do a technique? What am I doing and thinking in that time? I bet you 99.9% of you are thinking a whole lot of shit. You're having arguments in your mind. You're having inner conversations with your specific person. You're wondering what they're doing. You're getting annoyed by something someone did. You're living in the past and reliving a memory. You're having thoughts that are negative. So you've just cancelled out between 10:19 and 4 o'clock everything you just did at 10:19. And I don't think you guys get it. They're just techniques. They don't solve all your problems. They're ways to help you. Okay? There are ways. And those ways might not suit you. Affirmations might not work for you. Visualizing, you might find it hard to visualize. You might not like scripting. Find the way that helps you. But what are you doing in between that time? And that's what you need to be really, truly honest about, because that's your mental diet and it's consistency. It's something you have to persist in. It is constant, every day, all day, not at moments of activity, right? And that's why some of you get so thrown, because you think that moment of activity is going to change everything, but you haven't been honest with yourself and figured out what were you doing between the moments of activity, right?
Yeah. I think a lot of you guys don't actually listen to what you are thinking and pay attention to what you're doing during the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're checking your phone and like you start thinking, oh, he hasn't texted me yet, or oh, he usually calls me at this time, he didn't call me, or you know, whatever, where is he? He's late from work, he's this, he's that. And then you're running with these stories, and then the next time you go to affirm, it's just kind of like you're saying 5 affirmations, but for the last 3 hours you've been thinking garbage.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and then you've got to think that garbage that I'm thinking has to do with me and what I've garbagely been thinking my whole life. Those stories that you have about them didn't come out of nowhere, right? So say you've got a story like I have that you upset people. Like Sarah can tell you the other day in the meeting, what did Sarah Storms tell me was one of the feedbacks about people leaving the squad? What did they say was the reason? I am too what?
yelly.
Now, what's that got to do with? That's got to do with me upsetting people now. So people are leaving the squad because I can't handle my yelling. So can you guys see? It turns up in every aspect of your life, including your work, right? So if I've got some people who now don't like it, that I yell more than I used to because I'm literally trying to smack you around the head to make you get it. And I'm probably, exhausted from work and feel like my job's turned into various amounts of admin all day. And I probably aren't enjoying this job as much as I did the first 6 months of starting my account. Yeah. But if I have a story that I upset people, I'll upset them. But I can yell and scream and you could love it if I had the story, everyone loves it and no one gets upset by me. But if I still hold a story that I easily upset people, which I do, and I've had a very hard time getting rid of that story, people will still be upset, whether it's my staff, whether it's you guys, whether it's my SP, who the fuck it is, they'll get upset. And then I'm just like surprised that it keeps happening. You've got to understand everything that's showing up is probably still shit you're thinking. Oh, sorry, it is still things you're thinking, but it's things you might think you've fixed. That's not my point. I think sometimes I fix that. I haven't. So Sarah Storms will present to me in a meeting the other day, look at this thing you still haven't fixed. You upset people easily. And I'm like, not again. Right? So are you guys getting it? Even Sarah, even the mentors have things that still show up for them that are showing them what they still haven't changed. Right? We all do it. The thing you have to understand is you need to observe that to change it. You need to be honest about it and not say, oh, but I did this and it hasn't worked. No, you did it, but you're not continuing to do it. I did it, I've done it, and I'll continue to do it until that I have done is reflected in my world, whatever Neville said, right? Guys, some of you are doing it and then stopping. and then doing it and then stopping. And you haven't had a consistency of thinking the way Neville taught you to change completely. You're just changing in those moments. So be honest with yourself. Mm-hmm.
And it's about listening, and it's not about blaming yourself, like, oh, I still haven't fixed that.
Yeah.
But like sometimes things come up and you go, is that thought really helping me? Do I want to run with that story?
Right.
No, I probably don't. Right? So let me move my awareness elsewhere, because
Right.
if I go down this path, I'm gonna blow some shit up that I don't want to blow up.
And not only that, I want to add to that. Is this thought helping me? Yes, no. Is this thought even true?
Mm-hmm.
Because some of you run with stories you 100% think are true, and they're not even fucking true. You're making them true by thinking that. Right? So you could see your specific person online in a picture with a girl, and you could think, oh my God, he's seeing someone. It's his cousin. Like, it's not even true, the thing you came up with. It's not even fucking true, but you've decided it is. Then you're going, oh, he loves me and only me. But you've come up with a story that isn't even true. And some of you aren't identifying that. Right?
100%.
What's your yelling was actually something that drew and kept my attention and still is. Oh, good, Magdalena, I'm great. I'm happy about that. Thanks for sharing that, Loz. Look, guys, we're not perfect. If you think we're perfect, we're liars. If you are watching anyone, I'm telling you right fucking now, if you are watching any coach, any mindset coach, any teacher, they are bullshitting out of their asshole if they say their life's perfect and they manifest everything they want. No, they don't. They're full of shit. Things happen. Life happens. Everyone hasn't had a lobotomy and thinks all new, brand new thought. I'm sorry, I don't buy it. Right? So stop trying to be this perfect person that you think the coach you're listening to is. They're not, guys. I'm not. Right? Okay.
Life would be too easy if everything was perfect all the time.
How boring
Just doesn't
would it
work
be?
that way.
As
Yeah.
using a terrible Abraham Hicks expression, there'd be no contrast. Right? If everything was great, you'd be fucking bored.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Alrighty. So, next topic is, so people will see some movement, they do the things, they get the movement, their things are looking good, and then the 3D looks like shit all of a sudden. They have a bad day, they see there's a circumstance that comes up, or they perceive something that, they're not being, taking longer to answer than usual, or they're less lovey-dovey than usual. Something comes up. What do they do?
First of all, I just want to preface this by saying there is no all of a sudden or out of the blue. Or I was blindsided. If I hear one more bitch say, I was blindsided, it just came out of the blue. It didn't come out of the fucking blue. It came out of your fucking brain. That's it. Don't come in the fucking chat and tell us, oh, suddenly, this happened. No, it wasn't suddenly. What were you fucking thinking? I don't know. What? Okay, sorry, I'll rephrase. What were you subconsciously thinking? Oh, you mean in the back of my mind that I don't realize I'm thinking. Hello, that's what the account's called. It's called Subconscious Loz. It's not called Conscious Loz. I'm not asking you what affirmations were you doing. I was asking you what bullshit are you still thinking that you didn't realize you were thinking. Oh, well, I was kind of thinking, we aren't fully committed yet. Or I was kind of thinking he doesn't want this as much as I do. I was kind of thinking he doesn't prioritize me. And now he's stood me up on a date or not called me back. Okay, so it didn't come out the blue, did it? It wasn't all of a sudden. You weren't blindsided at all, were you? Oh, no, I wasn't. Right? So, guys, when you say this all of a sudden thing, I'm like, it's not all of a fucking sudden. It's like years of shit that you've been thinking that's caused this. That's it. Right?
You're so used to that chatter in the back of your head that you don't even realize it's there. You don't hear it because you're so used to those thoughts. You're thinking them all the time, right?
If I use the example of our meeting the other day and we were talking about the analytics of all of our platforms, right? If I'm a person who can only hear the negative and is really self-critical, I would have in that meeting only heard the negatives of what was going on, not the positives. I remember when I was on a dating site years ago, years and years and years ago, like 20 years ago, and I asked a friend, it was called Refer a Friend or My Best Friend. I can't remember what this thing was called. The dating site was your best friend writes the profile for you. I can't remember it. And she wrote this profile and it was glowing. And all I saw in the profile was the negative. Loz is a perfectionist. She probably could find, find it helpful to be with someone more spontaneous. She's kind of stuck in her ways, right? And I read that, and then I said to her, is that what I'm like? Am I really that stuck in my ways? Am I that much of a control freak? And she went, is that all you read? There were like 5 paragraphs, and that's all you saw, right? So some of you, when one thing shows up with your person, you've discounted all the positives that they've done that week, that day, that month, and you're just seeing this one thing, like they're not returning your call or something, and you're so zoned in on that. But if you factored in all the other stuff, that's another thing I need you guys to ask yourself. You're being thrown by one little thing, but you're not seeing all the positives, right? And if you're so thrown by little negative things all the time, you've got to really ask yourself, well, what stories are you holding that are causing those negative things to show up, right? Especially if you keep focusing on them and ruminating about them and getting thrown by them and being triggered by them. I kind of went off topic there, but you get the point. What's it called? My best friend. What was this fucking website called? It's like 20 years old. I can't think of it name.
It's before my time.
Yeah, it's really old.
I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely never out of the blue, because if you're really listening, you'll realize that you were thinking those things. You just didn't necessarily listen for them. It's like little whispers. And honestly, if you were so conscious of every negative thought you had all the time, it would be really easy to like redirect them, wouldn't it?
Guys, that's why we have a reticular activating system. If I look outside right now at my house, okay, look, there's a couple of trees. If I try and look at this tree here, where is the tree? So I'm trying to look at that tree there, right? I'll open my door for my cat. And to not have a reticular activating system and to not filter out what you think is important, I would see that tree as leaves, hundreds of leaves, right? I just see it as a tree. I'm not seeing the leaves of the tree. I'm seeing a tree. What you guys do is you see a tree, and that is your reticular activating system, focusing on the thing that thinks really important, like, I didn't get prioritized today. But there's all these lovely other leaves that are going on, all these things that they've done right, but you're focusing on the one negative thing that your reticular activating system, when it's filtering things out, thinks is really important. Like, look at this, you're not getting prioritized again. Look at the tree. And it's showing you the fucking tree, and that's all you're seeing, and you're being thrown by it. And that's the point of your reticular activating system. It's doing it to keep you safe. It's doing it to show you who you are. Oh, look, you're still the person who doesn't get prioritized. Look, you're still this. And it's just shoving this big tree in your face, and you're not identifying all the other things that were going well, right?
Right. And if it really was this like random out of the blue event that like never happened before, if it really was, why is it bothering you? If it really was this one-off thing, it shouldn't be that important.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay. If he took longer to text me, maybe he's just really busy at work, or he had a bad, like, a rough morning, and, whatever, right?
Why
It
does
doesn't
it have to
mean
mean
anything.
some terrible meaning? Exactly.
You're making it mean that he's not prioritizing you. You're making it mean that he doesn't care, he doesn't want to be with you and all this stuff, right? Because that's deep down what you still think.
Exactly. So you're being thrown by that and allowing that to then color everything you think about that person. And now you turn that person into this tree that you've seen, but all the other things that were going nicely, things that you failed to see that, because your brain is trying to keep you safe, and focusing on the thing it thinks negative that's going to hurt you, right? You guys need to identify that every time you're doing that. Okay.
As soon as that happens, then you start looking for the other things that confirm that story for you. So maybe in the morning they were slow to text you, and then during the day you're like, he's still not texting me like as often as he normally does, and then he comes home from work and he's tired and he's like, okay babe, I'm just going to bed, and you're like, what the hell?
Exactly.
Right? And you're creating this story over and over, like you're continually confirming that this is true, this is how he sees me, this is how I see him, this is how he's treating me, this is who I am. And then that's how the snowball rolls, right?
And that's when you have an argument, blow up at them, break up with them, set a boundary, and they're just like dumbfounded as to what this is even about. They're going, what? Oh, that thing you did, la, la, la. And they're like, what? What are you talking about? Didn't mean anything. But they don't know that. They just think you're being a nut. They just think you're being reactionary. They just don't even know what you're talking about, right? When you came up with a whole lot of stories, like Sarah said, this thing, then this thing, then this thing, it just snowballs into this thing that causes an argument or causes you to get really upset. But you formed the snowball, guys. You did. And it didn't come out the blue. That snowball's been rolling for a while. It wasn't sudden, right? Okay. Let's move to the next one. I need some water.
All right. So this one, I always think this one's a funny one. Not that, whatever, but when new people are showing up in the 3D, not necessarily an SP, but like, maybe there's a new guy giving you attention or people are treating you nicer, and they go, how come all these new people are showing up reflecting my self-concept, but it's not my SP? Why not? Why not my SP?
Because you still hold shitty stories about them. That's it. That's it.
Bye, guys.
Like, guys, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, you've got to be really honest. If you have a history with them, it could be short, it could be long. You're still holding stories about them that are still showing up because they're your direct reflection. So you've got to be super honest about what you're still thinking about them. Right? You can have everyone in the world giving you attention, but you've got this, and then you've got a story, oh, but they're not. Okay, well, that's also a story, isn't it?
And then you create an even bigger mess of everybody else is doing this, but they're not. They don't, they still don't want me. They still don't love me, right? And you're just continuing to perpetuate that story that you were trying to get rid of in the first place.
Right. Exactly. Anything else, Sarah?
There was one last one. I didn't expect to go through all of them, but that's okay. What do you do if you've been manifesting your specific person for a long time, so long that you forget the feeling of being with them, the feeling of being in love, being in a relationship? That kind of trips people up.
Guys, look, I'm going to say something that I probably shouldn't say. Some of you are obsessed with people. And you think that person is going to be your whole happiness, and you are cancelling out any other possibility of happiness with other people, other circumstances, whatever. And your obsession and focus on that person is so full on. That's the problem. Now, I know we're manifesting people and I know we're changing them, but even manifesting them and changing them is wrong thinking. We're not changing them or manifesting them. We are literally changing the thoughts in us that cause the situation we don't like that occurred with them, like a breakup or the current relationship that we don't like or whatever, or us not being in contact or whatever. But a lot of you still don't get that, and you think this is about them. And your focus on them and your obsession with them makes me think that you would write something like that. Like, I can't really remember what it was like with them. I don't care what it was like with them. I don't really care if you can't remember their face. This is about you. What aren't you getting that this is about you? And a lot of you have watched so many people who say, well, visualize being with your specific person, lie in bed and imagine them there. I can lie in bed and imagine someone there. I can't even see their face, right? I can't remember their smell. I can't remember their eye color half the time. It doesn't throw me. But some of you are like, oh, I can't remember the exact feeling, because what you were taught was imagine exactly what they were like, or imagine exactly what it was like, or imagine the feelings you had, the emotions you felt, how happy you were. Guys, I don't teach that shit. I don't teach you to conjure feelings. That's the first thing. So that sounds to me like that girl is trying to conjure a feeling about that person. Secondly, she's thrown because she's forgotten what he looks like. I can go out with someone and have a visualization and can't remember what they fully look like in my visualizations, right? Don't be thrown by that. But so many of you are so focused on them, you're kind of forgetting where you are. This is a channel where we focus on ourselves. We don't focus on them. Yes, we can think lovingly about them and have new stories about them, but this is 90% about you, right? So even being thrown by that is telling me that that person isn't really understanding that.
Like, when I think of visualization, I think of more, it's not necessarily conjuring a feeling, but it's like the concept. So who would I be in this situation? I would be loved, right? I would be the chosen one because they have their arms around me. It's not about them. It's not about this person who has their arms around me or whatever. It's about knowing that I am that person that's, in that state of mind of receiving the love and all that stuff. So I think people get too attached to the scene itself, like what they're doing and who's in it, versus you in the scene, who you are, your concept of yourself.
Right. Because that's when people find someone else and then they have a scene with that second person that they imagined. And they go, oh, it happened with the other person because it was about you. It's not about them. It's who are you in this moment? Who are you in that visualization? Oh, you are the person being loved. You are the person being committed to. You are the person in a beautiful, happy relationship. You are the person who someone is looking at lovingly. It's actually about you guys. And so many of you are making it about them. And that's when I say you're giving them the telepathic ick. Like, you're literally so obsessed with them that you think if someone did that to you, like I remember guys in my past who've done that to me, I've been so icked by them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean guys that I was in love with. I mean guys I didn't want. And then they've just got this thing. And I think, are you fucking for real? The more you're doing that, the more energy you're expending, the more I'm put off you. Right? And so many of you are like this to them. And you think, are you doing that even with your thinking? Like trying desperately to remember them, trying desperately to think of them, trying desperately to affirm
Mm-hmm.
about them, desperately trying to visualize every day. Them. Guys, the healthiest relationships I've ever seen is not when a girl's going like this about a guy all the time. Like, what healthy relationships have you seen where one person is fully obsessed with the other person and the other person is like nonchalant about them? They very rarely work. That's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like not an ideal relationship. And that's what you're setting up. That's the dynamic you're setting up. Even by caring so much about those visualizations, you should be caring about the visuals you hold about yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
Let's look at the comments then, Sarah, while we're here.
sure.
Um,
I've got it open on my
Loz,
computer.
just yell at me, but one thing that holds me back is that I'm the one that started the divorce, but I don't want to. Makes me scared, I think. So I know circumstances don't matter. I think it makes me think that it would be harder to manifest him back. I'm literally typing and realizing that I need to take this belief away. I can't fucking help you. Darling, look. Guys, it doesn't matter what you did in 3D. I don't care if you called a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you hit them with your car. You can have them back, but you've got a belief you can't. So how can I help you here? Like, we can't help you. So next. If you don't believe this works, I don't know why you're here. Like, why are you watching this? I don't really get this. I don't really believe in thought transmission. I don't really believe I'm the only cause. I don't really get it. Okay, well, bye. See ya. It was nice knowing you. You're not getting this. Hang on. I've come in at the perfect time. Literally happened to me tonight. Oh, what are we talking about, Lauren? Will this be in the squad? Yes, guys, and we'll put
Mm-hmm.
this on YouTube as well. Hi, Loz. I hear you. You say all the time it's a reflection of you. What were you thinking? Guys, it's what I was always thinking. It's not what I'm thinking right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's what I'm always thinking. That's what you guys go, what were you consciously thinking? I don't know what I was fucking consciously thinking. It's what I was thinking my whole life, guys. Some of you just don't, you get this screwy. What were you actually thinking? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have sat people down for like a week after they've been on a breakup, and said, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? What were you thinking? They can't identify it. They don't fucking know what they were consciously thinking. I'm trying to ask them, what were you always thinking? And I know what they were always thinking. I'm just waiting for them to fucking work it out. I could tell them, but I'm waiting for them to tell me, and they have to investigate it. Like, oh, I think people always leave. Okay, well, there you go. So they left. Oh, but I wasn't consciously thinking. No, I know, but you always think it. So ta-da. Like, guys,
Mm-hmm.
if I always think I upset people, it doesn't matter what I'm consciously thinking right now. I don't have to be consciously thinking in that meeting, oh, Sarah's going to tell me that I do things wrong. I've just got to have a story. I do things wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If Sarah tells me, oh, you upset people by yelling, well, I've got a story. I upset people. I've had it since I was a kid. I used to upset my mum. All she did was scream. Like, we're surprised. Like, guys, don't be shocked by what shows up. Be like, honest with yourself. Do I still think that about me? Yeah. Okay. Right.
Mm-hmm. And I noticed I would even catch myself too. Like, I'd said it before, like, why does this keep happening to me? But even just like, people never put me first or whatever, right? Like, you'll realize if you actually listen, you'll catch yourself saying things like that, where maybe it wasn't one specific thought, but you'll always revert back to the same thinking, right? So if you actually listen, you'll start to hear it.
Loz, off topic, that revision course is gold. Today's video brought it all together for me. Thank you. I brought it all together for you. Wonderful. So, guys, Change the Past is in the squad at the moment. It is here till the end of November. So we're taking it out about the 27th, 28th of November. Okay. This course is probably what you've never heard before about revision. So those of you who are in the squad right now watching this and haven't finished it, please finish it before the end of November. Anybody watching this back on YouTube, come and do it. Because I'm telling you right now, the way I'm explaining things, you might have to watch the videos twice because this is quite complex. This is the real understanding of your past and the real understanding about changing it. This isn't go back in a DeLorean, change an event, back to the future style, ta-da, your SP's changed, you've changed. No, this is much deeper. It's an understanding of why revision works, what you actually need to revise and how to do it. And I would hazard a guess, and I don't watch other people's videos, but from what you guys tell me, most of what you learn about revision is very, very simple. And it's much more complex than what you think. It involves everything we're doing while we're manifesting consciously, right? And I think some of you need to get back to the absolute basics of what we're learning here to really change things. And you'll go, oh, but I went back to a scene in my mind and changed it and it's still happening. Do you understand the tenets of revision? Do you understand what revision even is, why it works, what you're meant to be doing? No? Well, fuck, that's why that didn't work, right? So come and do the course because it will help you if you really don't get it and things haven't changed. If you miss it in the squad, it will be on my website eventually, and I'm going to add some bonus stuff in it because I've got so much to say about revision that I think we need like extra stuff in it because there's so much to say that hasn't been said, right? And I really want you guys to get it, and a lot of you might have to watch the videos a number of times to really get this, okay? Yes, the revision course had tons of penny drop moments, took lots of notes. Okay, good. And that's the thing, guys. Take the notes. That's the point. Do the tasks. Don't be in the squad, get the task workbooks and don't do them and then cry when we've taken it out. The point is to do it. How bad do you want this? Those of you who say, oh, I missed it. How fucking lazy are you? Ask yourself, how much Netflix have I watched this month? Shouldn't I have been doing Loz's course instead? Like, people say to me, oh, what do you watch? I say, I don't watch television. And they go, oh, come on, I go, I literally don't watch TV. The other day, I watched the Mike Tyson fight and the fight beforehand. That was it. I don't sit down and consume shit. Some of you are spending so much time consuming other shit and you should be doing the course. Some of you sit there watching coach after coach after coach after coach, thinking you're learning, but you haven't actually done any doing. You haven't done any changing in your mind, right? Be honest with what you're actually doing, guys, and don't complain to me when things haven't changed, when you sat around watching fucking Netflix all day or watched 10,000 coaches with all differing opinions about how to manifest and confuse the fuck out of yourself when you could have just done my course and understood it, right? Ready for the Christmas challenge? Yes, guys, the Christmas challenge has been announced. So Sarah will remember this time last year we did manifest what you want by Christmas. And I personally manifested exactly what I wanted on Christmas night, Christmas Day night, right? Exactly. What I'd visualized, what I'd scripted during the challenge. I joined in the challenge myself and literally got what I wanted on Christmas night. You can too. And this week we'll be releasing a lot of success and feedback from the previous challenge we did. And the reason why we've re-brought it up again, and it's not the same. It's a completely different challenge with different tasks in it and different things in it. It's just the same theme because people want to get their shit by the end of this year. Don't you all want to get your shit by the end of this year? 100% of you all do. And a lot of you are thrown by the end of the year. Wouldn't you say, Sarah? You see a lot of things as mentors and people saying about the time. Like, what's the time element they're worried about? They're worried about, like, buy the new year or buy New Year's. Or
Yeah, I remember last Christmas, it was very much, it's a lot of, you know, circumstances and sadness and, you know, I didn't get what I wanted, or, you know, the Christmas texts, the New Year's texts, or the, you know,
I'm not going to
spending
spend
time
Christmas
together.
with them. Yeah, spending time together. And you're so concerned about that particular day, right? I wasn't concerned about the particular day, but I made sure that I visualized and made sure what I wanted to happen on that day. I was determined it was going to happen on that day. And then when it actually happened on the day, I was so shook. Like the next morning, I was like, can't believe that actually happened. I manifested that so quick. But I need you guys to understand, yes, you can manifest on time crunch like I did, in time for Christmas or on Christmas like I did, or like so many of the other squaddies did last year. But your concern about the time is actually throwing you. So come and do the challenge, but understand that whilst you're doing it, this is a process of understanding what you're thinking consciously. And if it doesn't show up, say by New Year's, you're not going to like beat yourself up. It could show up by February. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't going to beat myself up because exactly on Christmas night I didn't get what I wanted. I could have got it the next day. I could have got it a month later, right? So if you're really thrown by time, this is probably a really good course for you because it'll make you slow down that process of thinking it's really dramatic at the end of the year or really something to worry about or something to freak out about, because we're all in it together, all doing the challenge together. What it is daily posts, Monday to Friday, giving you something to do to keep your mind right to manifest what you want by Christmas, okay? So that's what we're doing starting in December, on December 2nd in the Subconscious Loz Squad. So if you join now, you're watching this back on YouTube or anywhere else, you could change the past now before the end of November and then do the Christmas challenge with us, or just come and join us for the Christmas challenge. All right?
Yes, I saw a little sneaky peeky and it looks fantastic.
Exactly, guys. And guys, honestly, it was so much fun last year. We crammed it with stuff. It was almost too many activities to do, right? So we don't want to overwhelm you, but we've got like Christmas playlist and we've got fun things. It's a really, really fun thing to do for the end of the year, especially if you're a bit depressed and a bit down and, you know, you're going to go on Christmas Day or whatever and there's people there all coupled up and you're not, like, boost yourself up with this challenge because it's a really fun challenge every time we do it. All right, guys? Yay! Thanks so much for joining us, guys. And if you're watching this back on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. And Squatties, make sure you do change the past by the end of November and be here for the Christmas challenge. Manifest what you want by Christmas. Hooray! Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thanks,
and just remember, guys, Sarah is one of our mentors, one of our many mentors, and they go live, a lot of different ones, every Monday inside the squad, answering the latest themes, like we said at the beginning, that are in our Q&A forum where you ask questions. So come and join us for the next Mental Monday. All right, guys.
Thanks, guys.
See you later.
Bye.